Hey everybody, Aaron Cowan, Sage Dynamics, and this is my review of the Grey Ghost Precision Specter Light 10.5 inch upper receiver. Now, because it was just the upper receiver, I took that opportunity to put on as many lower receivers as possible. One thing I definitely noticed was, besides the initial craftsmanship, everything locks up really nice. There's no play, no rattle anywhere in the upper receiver. It mates to every lower I put it on. From my oldest lower receiver that's probably had 100,000 rounds put through it over its lifetime, to my newest ones like those Noveskis. Everything works great. Tolerances are in check. I didn't put it on any lower receiver where I had any play between the upper and the lower, which is important. Now, it is a billet upper receiver, which some people prefer, some people don't prefer. It does add a little bit of weight, but again, we're talking an ounce, maybe an ounce and a half over what you might see from a forged. The barrel is a 1 in 8 twist 5.56, which is great. I would have preferred a 1 in 7, just give me a little bit more ammo choices, so to speak, but I did shoot 55 grain, predominantly 55 grain, but I fired some 64 grain, some 62 grain, and even some 77 grain through it and didn't really see any issues. One of the things you see or you hear people talk about with the shorter guns, like your 10 inches, is they're worried about accuracy loss. You're not going to lose your ability to be accurate at reasonable distances. What you're going to lose is some of your muzzle velocity. So the round's still going to get where you want it to go within reason, but it might not have as much velocity left on it on delivery. So can you shoot accurately to intermediate ranges with this? Absolutely. I shot up to 300 and 400 meters with this gun and didn't really have any issues. Now, I couldn't tell you what the muzzle velocity was upon arrival, but I was still being able to get consistent hits with a great degree of accuracy, both on, you know, just a red dot sight, and I also had to put the 1 to 4 on it at the end of the review process.
Here I go again on my own.
Now, even though it wasn't a complete firearm, I was just getting an upper receiver, I decided to go ahead and use my standard review process, 2,000 rounds. So I put 2,000 rounds through it. First thing I do every single time is the burn down. 500 rounds as fast as I can fire. And of course, at the end of the burn down, I let the gun cool. In this case, the gun got to cool for over a week and a half before I could make it back out to the range. And then I go ahead and throw a 30-round magazine in it and run that magazine as fast as possible to see if I can identify or see if I can induce a malfunction from all that carbon and debris and filth from shooting just sitting in there and being able to harden over a period of time. So as you can see, 30 rounds, no issues. From there, continue the review process. The land tack that ships on it. Land tacks are great. It's a good muzzle device. But the shorter the gun is, the more problems I have with it. And I'm just being honest, it's the only thing I don't like about this upper receiver is the fact that it comes with a land tack dragon. The Lantac Dragon keeps your gun super flat, makes it shoot like a laser beam, but here's the thing. The shorter the gun, the more Michael Bay the muzzle flash, and I don't really care for that. Muzzle flash looks cool in photos, but it is absolutely atrocious if you're actually trying to do anything with your rifle. I had it out doing some night vision stuff, and I got to tell you that every time I pressed that trigger, no matter what ammo I was using, that muzzle flash on the Lantac was causing my NVGs to autogate. I don't like my night vision doing that, so I was going to have to take it off anyway to run the gun suppressed as part of the review process. But Lantac Dragon, 14.5, 16-inch and longer guns, okay, good to go. On a short gun, maybe just this one, I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and say that's probably not a good look unless you're just shooting to make huge, gigantic fireballs. Now, recoil control. Again, we're only talking about the upper receiver. We're not talking about the lower or the buffer tube or the buffer spring or anything like that. 10.5 inch gun, shooting suppressed or unsuppressed. I didn't really have any recoil control issues. Granted, muzzle device is going to play a huge role in that with the Lantac, and then I went ahead and added this Griffin later so I could use Griffin cans. Didn't see any significant issues. It has a mid-length gas system, even though it's only a 10.5 inch gun. Usually with the shorter upper receivers, you see the 10s and the 7s and weird things in there. You'll see companies use carbine-like gas systems. They don't. Mid-length gas system. Now, the distance between the gas block and the uncorking, the actual where the bullet leaves the barrel, is very short. That can be an issue for some shooters, depending on what you're looking at. For me, it didn't really present a problem. But recoil control on this gun, I didn't have any significant issues being able to keep it on target, and I wouldn't say that the felt recoil or the muzzle rise in between the Lantac or this Griffin device was significantly different to justify one over the other. I went with the Griffin because it tamed that muzzle flash, and it allowed me to use my my Griffin cans. Now, overall reliability. Again, we're only talking about the upper receiver. I did not experience any malfunctions in the 2,000 rounds of the review process, which included close to 500 rounds of suppressed fire. Now, I'll show you right now the end result of basically how dirty the gun got. Should a rifle be able to make it to 2,000 rounds without malfunctioning? You see my reviews before, you know that doesn't really impress me, it doesn't really surprise me. That's what I expect. I don't care what conditions you're running the weapon system in, unless it's a completely, absolutely horrible environment. Dust, moon dust, stripper dust, whatever you want to call that really fine granule sand that you see in the Middle East and places like that. Unless you're in an environment like that, and unless the rifle isn't able to be properly serviced before you take it into that environment, I don't expect any rifle to malfunction inside of 2,000 rounds. But it made it through flawlessly, and I will continue to run it before I clean it to see exactly what the failure point is. But for right now, I can say as far as reliability goes, the gun shoots every single time you press that trigger. Even under dedicated suppressed fire, didn't really see any issues. Some guns, especially the shorter guns, when you put a suppressor on them, it increases that carrier speed, but it also induces a lot more gas back into the chamber. I'm not running any kind of gas busting system. I don't have an adjustable gas block. I'm not running a gas busting charging handle. I'm running their proprietary charging handle. And I'm not using, say, like the Gemtech suppressed bolt carrier group. I'm using bolt carrier group simply. DI guns and suppressors get along to a certain degree, but once you start putting a high round count through them, you can have issues. None of those issues did I experience. The gun got noticeably dirty. It's actually really, really filthy because of the rounds I put through it while it was suppressed, and then all the rounds I fired before that. I didn't notice a significant issue with increased carrier speed. I didn't have anything rattle loose. I had gas block screws, set screws are still in place. Everything's still nice and tight the way it was when I first took it out of the box. So as far as reliability goes, I really don't have anything bad to say. Now, of course, the question that's on everybody's mind, accuracy. Well, after 2,000 rounds, I went ahead and threw a Trijicon AccuPower 1x4 on it, and I shot a 5-round group after 2,000 rounds. So you're looking at 2,000, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 rounds fired group at 100 meters. So as you can see, after 2,000 rounds, we're still right there in that 1 MOA neighborhood. When I zeroed the gun, it did shoot just under 1 MOA. I was shooting about 0.8 MOA. Unfortunately, I didn't capture that on the film. Something I'm definitely going to do in the future is make sure I include all my initial zero groups in the review process. But to me, what's always been more impressive is what kind of group does it shoot after you've been running it for a while. So I'm always going to include that last group after the 2,000 round review process of how accurate the gun is after everything I put it through. If you're looking for an upper receiver, and I know a lot of guys out there have 1 or 2 NFA stamped lowers, and if you don't, and you live in a state that allows it, I highly encourage you to have at least one. And they usually just look for different upper receivers. So if you're looking for a 10-inch, and I highly recommend that you have a 10-inch if you don't already, the GGP Specter Light, the 10.5 inch is a really, really good choice. You're getting that billet aluminum 7075 upper receiver. You're getting a really solid rail, whether you get the key mod or the M-lock. I didn't get the key mod. I like the M-lock a lot, but again, rail, the attachment method is the attachment method, and that comes down to personal preference, just like anything else. You're still getting a lot of rail space to include accessories, and besides that Land Tag Dragon, it comes very, very well equipped for what I consider for what you're getting, the craftsmanship and the materials that go into the weapon system. You're getting a reasonable price. You're getting a really good price. I'm Aaron Cannon with Sage Dynamics. Train accordingly. That's the target I used for the 500 round Burndown, but what's more impressive than that is the hole I dug in the berm. Yeah, I better go get a shovel.